for chapter 17, there's really a lot of new concept, or maybe old concept I must have mentioned before, but actually to me, it's also pretty new. Like the 10 ground or the dust motes of millions and billions and countless bodhisattvas, and what does all those means. So try my best to gather as much information as I can, and to explain it in the way that I personally understand, and share such understanding with all brothers and sisters. So thank you for giving me a chance to share. I'll be doing a review of chapter 17 as much as I can, the main gist, and what does all this numbers mean, and some of the new concepts like the 10 grounds of the Bodhisattva. That actually is not so new. It's not a very new concept because Master mentioned it before many years ago. But to me, it's so new because I haven't really got a chance to think through it as much deeper. But these few days, I think I personally understand it more already. So I had to share my understanding of it. Of course, like the 4 earnest efforts. What does that mean? I see how much I could cover. Hopefully, in about 40 minutes, I could cover as much as I can. Okay, so let me begin. We are at chapter 17, distinction of merits and virtues. There are a few different translations of this, the title of this chapter, but personally, I put it in this way: distinction of merits and virtues. There's also a translation of in some other literatures that says this discrimination of merits and virtues, which actually is okay too. Though personally, I just thought, because discriminating, it has somewhat a negative connotation to it. Discrimination, although it also has the other meaning of it, that is to differentiate. But distinction, on the other hand, also has the meaning of differentiating, but at the same time, it also has the positive connotation of being excellent, about excellence. And so I kind of prefer this word better, distinction, not between merits and virtues, but differentiating the merits and virtues that each of these bodhisattvas, after listening to the Buddha sharing about how lifespan of a Buddha is in fact infinite, is in fact countless eons in the past and countless eons in the future, that that is not born, is not born, and it's not disappearing. It's always there. When the Buddha shared of this whole idea of what wisdom life is what Buddha nature is, the very true essence of it. When all these bodhisattvas, when they hear of these teachings, what do they gain? What had they gained? What they benefited from such a teachings, and the level of benefiction? That would be the merits and virtues that they get, and different levels of attaining, different levels of benefit, different levels of gains that each of the bodhisattvas receive. So very quickly, we are already 20 days into this chapter since February 24th that Master began to spoke on the Lotus Sutra again, and we are about 1/3 through the chapter. So quickly jump onto the boat if I just began. So a very quick overview of where this chapter is. So like we were saying, how this chapter 17 actually links all the way from chapter 15, where after we saw this whole group of these countless bodhisattvas that emerged from the ground, that no one has seen before, which brought a lot of curiosity to people, thinking that where does these people come from? and who's their teacher? What is the practice? What is their practice to allow them to actually reach such a such a perfection, such a ground of attainment that is actually very, very high, but yet we have never seen them before. Who are they? So there is curiosities coming up, and so Bodhisattva Maitreya asked on behalf of everyone and gave this metaphor of this young father and old son, to try to use a metaphor to describe how weird this is, that Buddha only teaches Buddhists for over years, but yet there's these countless bodhisattvas that we have never seen before but have attained such a high level. How is that possible? And so the Buddha replied that in fact the task come one's lifespan is not as what we have imagined. That it's not what we think we have seen. The body, the physical body, there's only this 80 over years. Actually, it's not. The past lifetimes and past lifetimes and lifetimes, the task come ones has been constantly, permanently, always there, just like how truth has always been there. And so lifespan, and so from there, our master transform it into this life, this lifespan, the age treasury that we've all benefited from it. How so many of our volunteers have become young again and then passionate again, to be able to live out their life continuously, non-stop, even lifetime after lifetime. So how later we'll touch on it again, how our lives is no longer fragmented, but becoming continuous. So that's from chapter 16, how lifespan is really infinite. And then from there, because of listening to these teaching, we now continue with the later four chapters. From 17, 18 to 19 and 20. These four is considered a group that follows after chapter 16, that describe the different merits and virtues of different groups of people. So distinction of the merits and virtues is how the Bodhisattvas are listening to this teaching, what they've gained, and what we will all gain by understanding this, which kind of indirectly says how important is this idea of permanent wisdom life, and believing in it. What kind of benefits, what kind of level of understanding is that? To say that that's really important is the real truth of what the Buddha really wanted to say to everyone. That everyone has the Buddha nature, and that Buddha nature is not just for this lifetime. It's like always there, and believe in it. It's always there, and we need to live, connect back to that Buddha nature. Yeah. So, for that distinction, and then rejoicing in accord with the merit and virtue, and the merit and virtue of a Dharma master. So there were different levels of merit and virtues for different, not just after understanding this teaching, but also even just rejoicing in the teaching itself, has its merit and virtue. It brings people to want to know more about the Lotus Sutra. And then the merit and virtue of a Dharma master, if you go out, like Master always says, 说法传法, go out and preach, go out and share our own understanding, share what we have done, and share the kind of Dharma joy, the kind of Dharmic wisdom and understanding that we have gained from our actions. Share it out. And what kind of merit and virtue would that be? And all in all, we have an example of a person, the never sliding bodhisattva, how with his very, very humble actions, he continues to learn and never non-stop, is really moving towards and matching that true nature that we should all have. Okay, so there's a very quick general overview, and so I want to first go on to try to clear the the numbers, because well, personally, I also had some trouble in trying to understand what all these numbers means. I mean, in this chapter, we see many different numbers. They just can just send grains, like can just send, and then 680 myriads, kotis, nayutas, and so on and so forth. And then there's this single world system, the uh, uh, 小千世界、中千世界、大千世界, the small world system, the middle world system, the great world system, and then there's these 4 continents, and then all of these very big numbers, very huge universes, and all the dust in it, and then each single grain of dust are bodhisattvas, and bodhisattvas in such a number have gained certain attainment, so on and so forth. So what does all these numbers mean, and what does all these attainments mean? Very quickly, I just want to share a little of my own understanding. So it began with these 3, where it goes like Ajita. This is Bodhisattva Maitreya. When I spoke of the great length of the task come one's lifespan, no living beings, all sentient beings, no sentient beings of this number, like the sand grains of the 680 myriads, which Master transform it in saying that the 680 myriad, the 6 means our 6 senses, how our 6 consciousness, and then the 80 myriads are the 8 consciousnesses in total, how all of these put together. Sorry, the 6 should be the 6 perfection. In any case, putting 6 perfection and 8 consciousness all together, transforming consciousness into wisdom, and putting that into action for this long time, and that these groups of bodhisattvas that gain the patience with the non-production of dharmas, this 无生法忍, there's true patience that has no that true perseverance or patience that that actually does not feel of, there's no feeling of perseverance, but they persevere. It continues and on and on and on, non-stop, without the actual feeling of trying to the persevering kind of hardship. There's no such hardship. Right? You just keep going on, very joyously continuing. And then there's also 1,000 times that number. It means 1,000 times multiplied by 1,000 of these 680 myriads of kotis of nayutas with the country rivers as it stands. Now, more number in that, again, the running door of hearing, upholding, and so on and so forth. Actually, we can first have a concept that a general concept that the bigger the number is, that means a little easier it is to reach that ground. It's just like we will have many people that studied primary school, tiny little lesser studied secondary school, and so on and so forth. Of course, a little lesser in bachelor degree, and much lesser master degree and PhD. So it goes like in this kind of way. So the lesser the people, the harder it is to attain that level. And so we could see that that in this case, the number gets bigger. Gaining the running door of hearing, upholding. Well, this part is a little bit different, but later I'll touch on that. Okay, but just have the idea first that the number and the attainment is related. And of course, the third attainment, the third group of people are those of this single world system. There's actually much bigger number, gain unobstructed eloquence of delight in speech. That means they kind of very joyously can share on Dharma very happily, and like Brother Joe, he always shares Dharma very, very joyously and happily, and then he can have the kind of passion in sharing it in many different ways, and all in our daily life. Even when he make jokes, it has so much Dharma in it, and it's so just amazing. Yeah, so the kind of unstructured eloquence of delight in speaking of the Dharma is just amazing. And so we first have these three groups of people that's related, and here of course we have seen uh, a new term, that is the single world system. And what does that mean? Very quickly, this is a picture of a kind of a depiction of the worldview of Buddhism. Of course, we can use, with a scientific mind, look at this, you'll be like, well, but it's okay. Well, just take it as an understanding that during that time, this is the worldview, and this is how it may not be physical worldview, it might be the mental worldview, but there's many ways we can understand such a worldview of what this world is, of what this world is. Luckily though, it actually doesn't stray too far from what this universe really is. So what you see now in this picture is called a small world system. A small one. Okay, not yet a small world, just one world, one single world. And a small world system will be 1,000 of that. When you have 1,000 world, you get a small world. 1,000 world, you get a small world. Okay, so this is one world. One world has one Mount Sumaru in the middle, and then four continents. The four continents here is one of the continents. The second, the third, the fourth. That goes in the four directions from the mountain: the north, the south, the east, the west. Each has a continent. Of course, there are small ones beside them too. And it is said that we are at this position, this Nanzhan Buzhou or Yanfu Ti. So when we sing the social infinite meaning, we'll hear this word too, Yanfu Ti, that represents these continents. That is also the place that is said to be the earth, or this world, this human realm that we're living in, is in this place. And then there's also the different places. So now we once had a scientist, a cosmological scientist, that really did a research on this, and how he realized that this world system matches a lot with our whole Milky Way. The whole the Milky Way has these shapes that looks very much like this circular, in layers. The galaxy. You picture a galaxy. Yes, its arms, and then each layers and layers, and in the middle is this very bright black hole in the middle, which kind of represents this Mount Sumaru. Okay, and our Earth is at this side of the arm. Okay. In any case, just a worldview, and in this small world has a sun and a moon in it. So this is considered one world. Okay, one world. Or so later in the text, when we see a single world system, or when we see four continents, you refer to the same thing, because four continents is this 1, 2, 3, 4, the north, south, east, west, which makes up this one world system. And so when we call a single world or four continents, it refers to the same one world, one single world. We can use maybe just a picture to represent the number of people gaining such entertainment. So this very first stage, gaining the 无生法忍, if this is this amount, let's say represented by this amount, then 1,000 times maybe a little bit bigger, but something like this, bigger of them gain the dharani of hearing, upholding. There's the wisdom, really able to uphold the teaching, really able to put into action the teachings, these group of people. And then there's also this single world system, the dust motes in this one whole single world system gain unobstructed eloquence. Like imagine we grind the whole galaxy into grains, and then each of these grain is a bodhisattva. That's the kind of number. So of course there will be something like really huge amounts, more than of course the millions and billions of Ganges rivers. Rivers compared to galaxies, of course, is cannot be compared. And so this very big number. But then yet again, if we are to continue, if we put this 3 level into perspective, smaller ones, we go on to the next few lines where it talks about this one single world system that gained the dharani of 100,000 miracotis of limitless revolutions, of how, what I say, is this turning of dharani. And this, I think this dharani, or this turning or revolution, this turning is I think my understanding is how we could, for example, we could preach or share the same idea in many different ways. In many different, just like Mata uses many different aphorisms to talk about anger, to talk about how we shouldn't be angry. You know, that anger is a momentous craziness, or that getting angry is putting other people's mistake on ourselves, or something uses many different ways to speak of the same idea to different people. So it's like keep turning the idea, turning into different ways of methods of speaking on it, and the ability to do that, to share the same idea in different ways, to put it into to paraphrase, to use different metaphors, to speak the same thing to a kid, or to speak the same thing to elderly, to speak the same thing to a teacher, to speak the same thing to different people. You can use different ways to say it, and that's an ability that's very difficult yet higher level. So we have this again, another single world system of people that can do that, and then there comes a very big number, great world system that is sorry, I should put this into a table. So while a single world is one, right? A small world will be 1,000 of this. 1,000 of this world. 1,000 world is one small world. Okay, and then 1,000 small world will give you a middle-sized world. And 1,000 middle-sized world will give you a great world system. Okay, so again, it's just a number. Just use the picture. So great world system will like this, so huge. A great world system is like 1 and 9 zeros behind. There's 1 billion. 1 billion of this of 1 billion small world systems. This amount is so huge. Putting all together, they will look like this. And so many people has become capable of turning the irreversible Dhamma wheel. They will not reverse anymore. They will not regress anymore. They will continue on this Bodhisattva path. And many people, after listening to the Buddha's teaching of this infinite lifespan, have gained such a turning of irreversible Dhamma wheel. They will not regress, and they can this that path is very important. Is really the truth. Is this way of life that we should be doing. Yeah, we should, helping people is there's no reason to help people. That this is the path of my life. So many people and many different people will use different ways. Like many of our recycling volunteers will say that I will continue to do recycling until my last breath, and doing until my last breath. This phrase itself is one way, is one turn of saying non-regress, that they'll continue on and on forever. Of course, we would at the end of say for example, at the end of a blessing ceremony, we'll say 生生世世都在菩提中, that lifetime after lifetimes we will continue on a bodhisattva path. We will chant this. And again, this is another way to talk about the idea of that we will not regress, we will continue on this path. So, or like 尽情伤人莫忧虑, that master do not master please do not worry, because we will continue on, we'll uphold and carry on the mission. Again, this is another way to speak of non-regress. Oh, one world, one solar system. Really, thank you, Brother Jeff. Well, we don't know, because Buddha's time, the idea of the universe, and during Buddha's time and during our time, it's really hard to find out the metrics. So what I think is there's no need to go too attached to these wordings or these worldviews, or whether it really matches that what this mountain, Mount Sumeru, it should mean. Is it Mount Everest, or is it the sun, or is it the center of the galaxy? Well, there's many different ways you could talk about it, but in any case, it's just a world. It's just a world. Just like many different cultures in the past, they have different kinds of worldviews. For example, in the Chinese, back at the time, we would think that the world is like an egg, and then there's someone that breaks the egg apart, and then one part of the egg becomes the sky, the other part of the egg becomes the earth, and then so on and so forth. Of course, that kind of world system would be very far from what we think it is. And then, of course, there's also the Egypt would think that the sky is a goddess that goes on top, that from the sky, and then so there's many different ways in different cultures think of the world differently. But and this is the Buddha's depiction of the world, which of course still look very far from our understanding of that it should be Earth, there should be solar system, there's the sun, and then and of course galaxy and so on and so forth. But yet, at least personally, I think pretty amazingly that it is such a pictorial form, as such a world view is much closer to what our scientific understanding is, as compared to the egg that forms the sky and the earth, or the turtle below, this turtle and elephant turtle, and something that forms other people's world system. The Buddha's worldview is already much closer. There's the somewhat like the earth continent, the ocean, and then all these actually floats on emptiness, floating on emptiness that is already very close to, at least the earth floats on emptiness, and all planets float on emptiness. And then there's the sun and the moon that revolves together, and then most amazingly that the Buddha talks about how many the 1,000 other worlds like this, and then the small world system, the middle world system, the great world system that really kind of matches that at this spokes that there are different worlds, that there are different places, that there's more and more, there's much more planets and much more worlds as compared to just the Earth. Many different cultures would think that Earth is the only most important place. Earth is flat, and then is it only this world? Well, but at least Buddha have realized and got to understand that there's actually many worlds to it, and so which matches at least very much to our understanding that besides just the solar system, we know that there's many other solar systems. There's many sun, like our sun, and then there's and all these, if you multiply more and more, makes up the galaxy, and then galaxy is not the biggest unit. There's even bigger, super clusters and so on and so forth. And so the system getting bigger and bigger, just like the small world system, the middle world system, the great world system, and all these put together is just hard to imagine. Just like how, in fact, if we have to talk about what the universe is is so hard to imagine. The universe is just so huge. It's just so huge. You use the speed of light. Uh, you have to travel like billions and billions of years in order to get from one place to another, and it's just very hard to imagine from our human point of view what the universe is. In the same way, the Buddha wanted to say with this worldview system that infinity is a word that is very difficult to describe because it's a number that it just has no ending to it. Just like how we look at universe, it's as if there's no ending to it, and when you think about no ending, it's just so hard to imagine. But when Buddha put it in this way, that imagine you grind the whole earth into sands, and then each of these sands is one world, and then so on, so is one bodhisattva, and so on, so forth. It's suddenly you could picture. Okay, it's just very huge. Okay, the number is just very huge. Yeah. So so let's not delve too deep into what the world system is, matching to our to our actual scientific understanding. But at least I'm glad that it's actually not too far away. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. The main idea is there. So that I'm glad and happy. I think that's good enough. Okay, good. I hope that answers. Yeah, at least that's my understanding. Okay. Okay, and then so from the great world system of people, bodhisattvas gaining this turning of the irreversible Dharma wheel. There's this middle-sized world system of people, bodhisattvas that gain this able to turn the pure Dharma wheel, and then the small world system that that after 8 lifetimes will attain Anuttara Sambodhi. And then continuing on, again we talk about the there's many different and other different groups like these four continents of people will gain Anuttara Sambodhi in 4 lifetimes, and then there's these 3 sets of 4 continents they will gain in 3 lifetimes. And remember we were saying that actually one four continent, a set of 4 continents is this a set of world continents is one small world. Oh, sorry, one world. This one world has 4 continents in it, and so when we say 4 continents, it actually refers to one world. And so there's this 4 world destined that after 4 lifetimes we gain Anuttara Sambodhi, and then 3 world of them in 3 lifetimes we gain enlightenment, and then two world well in 2 lifetime, 1 world in 1 single lifetime, and then again it goes back to 8 world that has brought forth the resolve for Anuttara Sambodhi. Okay, so if we were to put all this into say into perspective, now we have these first few stages that's actually pretty little, and it's very huge great world system of bodhisattvas again the infinite revolutions. And so these last 3 we have the single world system, and all these getting smaller and smaller. So if we put all 52 stages of bodhisattva practice together, you see a picture of something like this. That from the very top we have those that gain Wusheng Faren and so on and so forth, and then after which we have those that in 8 lifetimes, in 4 lifetimes, 3 lifetimes, 2 lifetimes, 1 lifetime will gain enlightenment and so on and so forth. If we put all them, all the names on, we have actually those connected to the different levels. Let me do the animation again. And so the 52 stages of Bodhisattva's practice goes from 10 faith, then 10 abiding, and then 10 actions, 10 dedications, these 4 beginning stages, and then we continue with ground 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the 10 grounds of Bodhisattva practice. That's actually the middle, and then after which there's usually 2 more grounds: the equivalent enlightenment, and then the actual wondrous enlightenment that would refers to the Buddha, the state of the Buddha. And so I'm sorry I couldn't translate this into English, but I think this is a pretty good table of of these 52 stages, matching with what has been said in the sutra. So we have the 10 faith. So we have the 10 faith, that is these people that are able to generate in their heart the will to walk the Bodhisattva path, to go on to the Bodhi path. So this very one single thought to go on to this path is already very difficult. And so you could see how it's actually a very, very small number of people that are able to do it, to just be able to go on to the Bodhisattva path. This transformation, that is difficult. But when we are able to do it, at this transforming into the Bodhisattva path, and then after which it gets better. But of course, in the middle, so a lot of people will be in the ground 2, or so on and so forth, in this region, ground 2, ground 3, ground 4. But after which it gets, of course, again, much more difficult. So let's let less people to ground 10. Yep. And so you can see how this matches. So 10 faith, 10 abiding, 10 actions, and the 10 dedications. All these matches, all this matching back to what I say in this chapter, and then this 10 ground, 10 bodhisattva path, 10 ground bodhisattva, and how it actually, when we say that the 4 world system of bodhisattvas in 4 lifetimes will get Anattara Samsabodhi, that will refer to this group of bodhisattvas that is actually over here, in the 8th ground of the bodhisattva path. And why is this 4 lifetimes or 4 stages to go? Because from 8th ground you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 to gain enlightenment, and then from 9th ground you'll be 3 lifetimes to enlighten, because 1, 2, 3, and 10th ground will be 2 lifetime, and then when we reach equivalent enlightenment, this stage, there'll be 1 more lifetime, one more stage to reach actual wondrous enlightenment. There's the Buddha. And so this in total 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10, and then another 10 grounds plus 2, you get 52. So this is the 52 stages of Bodhisattva path. So besides these 10 that we used to be, we are more familiar with, there's actually 2 more stages behind, and so that will make the numbers match. Okay, just quick, want to at least clear the numbers, and so we have a little bit understanding. So so what is the 10 ground? What this question is talking about. What is the 10 ground of Bodhisattva? And is it a one-way path, one way forward, or you might actually descend from one ground to another? Or is there any ground that once you reach it, you will never fall down, like a safety net? Once you reach there, you will not lose anymore. It's just what's the game rule of these 10 grounds? Okay, so let's look at this. So the 10 grounds goes from the ground of happiness. It's very, I'll really highly recommend that we can try to memorize what this 10 ground means, and then later on, I'll share about my understanding and the logics between these 10 grounds. Why is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? And well, how do these grounds connect? And I think it will be a little easier to remember what this 10 ground is. And so it begins with the ground of happiness. Let's go through quickly. The ground of leaving defilement, the ground of radiance, the ground of blazing wisdom, the ground of invincibility. I think this translation is just amazing. Invincibility, it never non-stoppable. And the ground of manifestation, the ground of traveling afar. And then the ground of immovability is not like immobile or like disabled, but immovability, that the heart never moves anymore. It's one way, non-stop. So if to answer just now, is there any stage that once you reach, you will not regress anymore? That would be the eighth ground, the ground of immovability. That from here onwards, it's just like once you learn how to cycle, it's really hard to forget it anymore. And so it's something like this. Once you learn how to cycle, that's it. You have learned it. You are there already, and you'll not forget it anymore. In the same way, you look at master. Will master ever do anything bad? I don't know. It just sounds so impossible. At her level. And so that is the kind of stage where once you reach there, it's just a way for it already. And it's gone to that a little bit later. So ninth ground, the ground of good wisdom, and then finally the ground of Dharma cloud. And what's my understanding of it? Let's look at it. So the ground of happiness is this ground that we are most familiar with, because we all come into Tzu Chi because it's a really, because of the joy that we feel. No matter, like for myself, I come in because of the teenage class. So that was when I was young, and so we all come in because of the joyous feeling, the one big family, and then going out to help people, to serve, always give us a kind of feeling, the kind of joyous feeling, and they must describe that as the Dharma joy, that pushes us, that really make us want to do more, to continue on this path, to do more, to want to be together with our brothers and sisters. And so it's very important, Master Ji say, it's very important to have this feeling of joy all the time in our Buddhist path. Never forget our true fasting, the very first thoughts of coming in, this joyous moment, this joyous feeling. In fact, Master a few days ago talks about what's the difference between just joy and Dharma joy. What's the difference between joy and Dharma joy? And Master uses the understand that before, when we come, before we come to Tzu Chi, or before we actually walk onto this path, our joy maybe is attached to more of material things. We are very happy when for example, I get 100 marks, I'll be very happy. Or when I earn my first salary, I'll be very happy. When I buy a car, I'll be super happy, and so on and so forth. When I get a girlfriend, I'll be very happy. There's before, so it's kind of attached to forms. So joy before is always about getting something. And once I get something, I'll be happy. Once I lose something, I'll be unhappy. And so it's like our happiness is attached to these things. So when I gain it, I'm happy. When I lose it, I'll be sad. So our emotion is attached to all these things. But Dharma joy is another thing. Dharma joy is the kind of joy that once we reach it, you'll be joyous all the time. Even when people scold at you, or when people defame you, or even when we meet any difficulties, the joy will not fade away. In fact, the joy is always there. We will look at difficulty and think that, yes, this is a good chance, and to do more. Or when we look at, or when people scold, or when we are defamed, it's a good chance to practice. Good chance to practice perseverance, or it's a good chance. Or in fact, even further, is that we no longer think of difficulties, or think of defame, think of scolding as something bad. We think of it as something like a nourishment, that all of these are nourishment to us. And there's no difference. There's no need to think that defamement or scolding is bad. It's just nourishment. And praises is not also something good, it's just nourishment. And so when we look at everything as a nourishment to us, it's always joyous. It's just like lotus in the mud. The mud is not something dirty. It's a nourishment. It's nutrient. It's just that. There's no negative connotation to mud, right? Mud it's just nutrient to the lotus. So a lotus will not think that mud is dirty, that I want to clean the mud away. No, we won't think about that. And then that's the lotus. And in the same way, when we look at this world, although it's sort of a turbulent world, or a world of the five defilements and so on and so forth, but uh, to the Buddha, this samsara world is also a pure land. It's also a pure land, and I think that's how Buddha looks at this world, that everything, suffering, or anger or ignorance or greed, all these um, are what all we need to eliminate. But then again, it's nutrients. It's nutrients that from there we gain wisdom, and from there we go further into the crowd to help more people to gain to really reach this ground of happiness that we non-stop. That they'll be joyous all the time, no matter what kind of circumstances. So this is the ground of happiness that we are all very familiar with, as we first walk onto the Bodhisattva path. We feel the joy in walking on this path, and then as we go further, there will be brothers and sisters that will begin to invite you to. Would like to begin training. Would like to be commissioned, to become a commissioner, and then so from there we will go through this set of rigorous training, and then we start to realize that Tzu Chi is not just about doing good things. It's also about purifying our own mind. It's about turning our bad habits into good habits. It's about transforming our consciousness, wisdom, and so on and so forth. So we start to take on the 10 precepts, realizing that actually the 10 precepts is very important. You start to let go of the bad habits that we used to have, the angriness, or maybe alcohol or smoking. All this, we start to realize that maybe I don't need this, and then this is not good to me. This is not good to the people around me too. And so we start to let go, to quit all these things, and then turn on to a more sincere lifestyle, a more beneficial lifestyle, a more benevolent lifestyle. And so at this stage is the ground of leaving defilements, is where we start to realize that besides just doing good, the joy from doing good, besides that, we also transform our own heart. We start to learn to leave defilements. So that's ground 2. And then ground 3 is where we go deeper into the sutra to realize that, wow, there's actually so much to learn from the sutra. So everyone is here doing Xun Fa Xiang, and then we had, and after the Xun Fa Xiang, really understanding the sutra, we even have the sutra adaptations where everyone, it's like this great Fa Hui, where everyone in that moment, truly enlightened, that in our actions, in our adaptations, in the drama, in the actions, we all delve deep in the sign language. We all delve deep into the sutra, and then you really see how everyone radiates. It's a brown radiance. It's like our wisdom. It's something like we understood what the sutra is talking about. It's no longer something very far away from our life. We understood what a sutra is, and then the teachings really benefit our own life. Like the Sutra of Water Repentance, many people benefit from it. And the sutra is no longer something that before is very alien to us, that is very foreign and very like just something that you chant on that has no meaning to it. It's no longer that we really gain wisdom, and then benefit from it. And so it's like our face radiates joy, radiates wisdom. And when people look at us, Tzu Chi people, they also say that, wow, Tzu Chi people is really good. It's really amazing. They are really good people. And so this is a ground of radiance where really we put the wisdom into our actions, into our bodily actions, and people will see that, wow, you have changed, you really have changed. Your face is radiating with joy and happiness and compassion, ground of radiance. And then we have the ground 4, the blazing wisdom. I think this word also described it very nicely. A blazing wisdom, that really have wisdom that's so that it's just like, I don't know, when I look at Buddha or Xiao Niu, there are people that I think is really just amazing. They can really put wisdom or Buddha's teaching in transforming it into ways that it's very easy to understand. They give you the aha. So this is what it means, the aha moment. That really that really make us really admire their ability to be able to do that. So this is a ground of blazing wisdom. Of course, I think Buddha Joe is, of course, not just at ground 4. He's already much higher. I think probably ground 9, or very before already. But this is a ground of blazing wisdom where, besides just doing good, we also start to transform our defilements, and then even go deeper into the wisdom until a stage where we can share with more people, that we can transform wisdom into different ways. The wisdom really becomes our own wisdom, and we can put it into different ways. We can paraphrase it. We can use our own life stories to share with more people. And then many of brothers and sisters are able to do that too. We are somewhere in this stage. But to be able to say it and really doing it, or doing it even in difficulty, I think that's a different stage. And so therefore, in the 5th stage is the ground of invincibility, or the ground where the Buddhist is able to overcome any difficulties, overcome any hurdles. And why do I put a picture of our Hualien Teach Hospital? Because just imagine, Master, when 52 years ago began Tzu Chi, well, with the 30 housewife. Of course, it's already quite difficult. But of course, we began with charity work and so on and so forth. But I think our hospital, the building of the hospital, is one of the very first really huge difficulty that Master faced. We all know the stories of how she actually have found 10 different lands, and then groundbreaking twice to finally have this hospital. And even just having the physical facility is just the first stage. It's very difficult to get doctors or nurses to want to come to this part of Taiwan, and so this whole process, trying to find doctors to come and then to make this hospital really work, and there's a lot of difficulties. Is this whole project, when we all know the story too, where Master says that let's build a hospital. Almost everyone had a place, all the brothers and sisters during that time, everyone in that venue says, no, Master, please don't do that. It's just impossible. How can we do that? We don't have money. We don't have the profession. We have nothing. How can we build a professional hospital? And only our Lin Fuzong says, I agree, I support, let's build a hospital. And so it begins with a very difficult situation, but Master really overcome it. And then there we have our city hospital. And so when we can continue to do the right thing, even in difficulty, and really overcoming it, that will be the ground of invincibility. And from there, we also see from our Tzu Chi history that from there, once we had a hospital, and then after which actually the Tzu Chi, that was in 1987, right? We have our hospital, and then actually from there, our international disaster relief began to grow, and then Tzu Chi really grow global. There's now a system of working, the whole Tzu Chi Foundation working mechanism. The 8 footprints are all developed, and so we can go on and on. We go on to various different countries. Like just recently, our newest country, Mexico, local volunteers come back to Taiwan to share Master and to share their gratefulness, and then learn the teachings, to learn the Dharma, so they can bring back. We even had in Mexico volunteer, our sister, vow to be a pure practitioner, and she'll be coming back. She went back to Mexico, asked her parents, and her parents says, okay, you can. And so she'll be coming back to Taiwan to learn Chinese and then really become a part of the pure practitioner family. So we're really happy. And so this ground of manifestations that once when you were able to overcome difficulties, it's like you come into the system, people start to see Tzu Chi. Now, when we had the Tzu Chi hospital, people start to see Tzu Chi already. It's like you come into the surface, come into the mainstream, that people start to see you, start to see that, wow, when you talk about disaster relief, we think about Zhonghan Xuezhang, we think about the team, we think about Mexico volunteers, we think about them. They become like an icon of a role model. And so that's the sentient, the ground manifestation. We will come forward, becoming a role model. So that's ground 6. And then, and of course, the ground of traveling afar. That's what I was talking about, that how we actually spread into worldwide, globally. That that the compassion. Once we are successful in overcoming the difficulty in our local ground, in our local community, we can continue to do Tzu Chi in our local community, and so from there, with the same mind, we can spread to further and further, and of course, to Master's mind, the whole world, even the whole universe, is within her compassion. And so this ground of traveling far is this mind that goes out to all sentient beings, and then from there, Tzu Chi grows. Ground of traveling afar. And then the ground of immovability. Why double X picture? I want to use it to depict 2 years ago, when of course we all know that Taiwan Tzu Chi met one of the hardest difficulties, the defamation and the untruth gossips and untruth news on the web. But even facing that kind of situation, while on one hand we're doing good, yet the whole society is going negative on this. Should we continue? There'll be doubts on it, and of course, it's one of the huge biggest difficulty. But have we stopped? No, of course. In fact, in 2015 we went to Nepal, and in 2016 we went to the US. We went and so on and so forth. In 2017 we went to the Hurricane Harvey, and so on and so forth. Then our footsteps never stop, and in fact our charity expenses go further and further. Although our donations get less and less, our expenses continues to grow. We continue to do a lot of charity. We continue to do so. Nothing will stop Tzu Chi from continuing our work of Bodhisattva path, and that really truly shows what the essence of ground of immovability, that 不动地, that the path, the direction never change anymore. Just continue, just do it, and know when it's right. Just doing it, whether people defames us, agree with it or not, or of course we learn from it, but those words will not hurt our direction. We are very clear of it already, and so this ground 8. And then of course from there, the ground of good wisdom, Master transform from the transformed Dharma into something that really benefits all of us. I just use this example, our Soliang Baozang Age Treasury is this one awesome way of transforming the Dharma into ways that really benefits all of us. This ability to transform wisdom into something that benefits sentient beings is such a ground. And then from there, the ground of Dharma cloud, just like our Master, every morning sharing the teaching is like this cloud raining nourishment to all of us, and then each of us benefits according to our capability, but we all benefited from Master. So the ground of Dharma cloud. And so going through all this, this is the 10 grounds. I think now it has a bit of more logic that we all grow through such a process. And now look at this, I would see where I am. I'm probably still at ground, well, 1 or maybe 2, trying to leave a bit more defilements, and maybe a little bit of ability to share a little wisdom, share a little bit of what I understand. But I have not yet met, well, like really huge difficulties. So I'm definitely not at ground 5. Now, Brother Joe maybe a bit further. He had met really a lot of difficulties and a lot of, but he's able to overcome. So it's really amazing. So, well, after this, we really know where we are and where we can continue to practice towards. Okay, I think I took too much time, so sorry. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
Cảm ơn Brother Yu Ping for sharing so much life wisdom with us, and cảm ơn for sharing. It's clearer, it's much clearer now, definitely, especially on the grounds. Okay, thank you, Pusa, for your presence today. Hope that each of us could sustain the Dharma joy and take in another piece of Master's and Hualien love to our life. Let us please make 3 bows to the Buddha and Master Cheng as we depart to apply these teachings in our daily lives. Let us pay our respects to our teachers of life universal truth. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Cảm ơn everyone. See you all next Saturday. Cảm ơn.
And thank you everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.